The rules are changing. Oh my goodness. Okay, so in my last video about what's going on in Paris and in France, Paris had just become a green zone. Things were going well. Masks were required indoors at some places, but not outside. But now we have new rules that are starting tomorrow, which is actually why I'm out tonight. So in this video, I'm going to tell you about the new rules, who it affects, and we'll see how this is all going to work out. So here's what it is. Starting tomorrow morning, tonight is Friday, starting tomorrow morning, there is a curfew in place in a lot of major cities in France. So that means that from 9 p.m. until 6 a.m., people are not going to be allowed out. This is why I'm out right now. This is like a last call. And this curfew is in place for it's at least 4 weeks. It could be longer. So this is intense. I mean, Paris is definitely a city where people like to go out. People like to be out late, even now. So in my neighborhood, I live in the heart of the city. At midnight, I still hear people out. Sometimes 1 a.m, I still hear people out on the streets, but not for the next 4 weeks. That is for certain. So here's the thing to remember. So restaurants, movie theaters, that's like an art place behind me. All of the places that are normally open a little bit later and cater to the later crowd, bars, that's a wrap. And this is really a tough time for a lot of businesses in France because, of course, no matter what city you live in, you've probably been affected by 2020. However, in France, 2019 was brutal too. In November and in December, we were having strikes that were affecting the transportation. Businesses were already hurting at the end of 2019. So 2020 has been really rough. So I know bars and restaurants are not happy, but there are some exceptions to the rule. So, although restaurants can't be open to the public after 9 p.m., they will be allowed to do takeout. But that brings up the question, what about the delivery drivers? Are they allowed to be out? And it's sort of a gray area right now. I feel like there's not an official word on that. I think it's going to come back, that it's going to be okay. But, so restaurants are allowed to be open, but for takeout. But keep in mind, French people don't eat takeout the same way Americans do. You know, I'm American. I love takeout, delivery. But French people, they love to sit and eat. Another thing to remember is the time that French people eat. So again, as I mentioned, I'm American. I like to eat at 6. 7's a little bit late, but I'm fine with it. 7 for a French person for dinner is pretty early. People eat at 8 p.m. They like to have long, casual dinners. So a 9 o'clock curfew is really early. For me, to be honest, I'm usually in by 9 p.m. every night anyway. I'm in by 7. I don't have that much to do in the evenings. So for me, it's not really going to affect my life. But for a lot of people, you know, this is noteworthy. So people are really making the most of it tonight. The bars, people are out, they're eating, they're having a good time because this might be their last chance to get it in. But so there are a few other exceptions. So for people who are traveling, so if you have a train to catch, if you have a plane to catch, of course, you're allowed to still go to those places. Now, this is kind of like back in our confinement era because you have to have an attestation. Okay, that's like I think the English translation is like an affidavit, but it's like a document. So you have to have a document explaining why you're out and that you fall into one of these exception categories. Also an exception is you can walk your dog. So if you don't have a pet, this is a good time to adopt. If you've been thinking about a dog, this might be the time to find a shelter and get a pet. You are allowed to walk dogs at night and to have transportation. So that's a really nice thing for people who have jobs and want to eat dinner and still be able to walk their pets. Okay, you can do that. But people who are out, again, if you don't have this attestation, police officers are going to be issuing fines. And the fine for being out without an attestation is 135 euros. And if that's not bad enough, because you might think, well, maybe it's worth 135 euros to have a really good night. But no, because if you're a repeat offender, the fines will go up to over 1,000 euros. That's not worth it. That's a lot of money. So they are taking it seriously. They are saying from the outset that the fines are going to be hefty for people who violate the rule. So it's serious. So with this new rule, this actually comes on the heels of another rule that had just been put in place. So as of I don't know, a week ago, maybe more. Honestly, I lose track of time. I don't know about you guys. Is anyone else losing track of time? Something could be 5 days, a week, a month ago. I don't know. But I think it was a week ago, that a new rule was put in place that said all bars have to close. So all bars have had to close in Paris. Now, here's what I learned from that rule. After that rule went into place, I learned there are no bars in Paris. Why do I say that? Nothing changed. Absolutely nothing changed. After they put in the rule that said all bars have to close, all the bars were still open. They were like, we're not bars. We serve food. We have chips. We have bread. We have apéro. It was kind of a joke. So there was a rule put in place that all bars had to close. So technically they all are. But what I can tell you is most of the bars I've seen, they're all still open. And they say they're restaurants. So, there's a fine line. And also I understand it because we already established that these businesses have been hurt. They've been hurt by 2020. In France, they were hurt by 2019. So people want to stay in business. People want to survive and thrive. So I totally get it. There are no bars. There are restaurants. And now the restaurants have to close at 9. Okay, other exceptions, because there are always additional exceptions to the rule. If you have a job where you work at night, of course, that you'll be able to get an attestation to get that as a waiver. And what was the other thing?
Emergencies?
Oh, so night jobs, and if you have an emergency, right? Obviously, if you have to go to the hospital, something like that, you can leave your home to go to the hospital. So those are some of the rules. Now, here's the question though. How are people going to adapt to these new rules? What's going to happen? Is anything going to change? So one movie theater chain, MK2, they're saying that they might start opening at 8 a.m. to start offering movies at an earlier time. French people are not known to be morning people. Is this going to be effective? Are people going to go to the movies at 8 a.m.? The truth is, people aren't really going to the movies at all right now. But will these early morning movies make a difference? Will other things start shifting? Will people start shifting their schedules so that 6 a.m. is now a time to do something? I do not know. These are questions that I guess only time will tell what happens, how people adapt or adjust their schedules. So, the curfew is in effect as of tomorrow morning. Well, as of tomorrow evening, starting tomorrow. So this is my last night going for a little walk. I'm here taking in the views. I hope all is well wherever you are. Leave me a comment. Let me know what's going on in your city. And we'll see how this goes in France. We're in it for the next 4 weeks, maybe longer. So we'll see what happens. So stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done it already. I'm currently posting videos from my road trip around France. I've posted the first part already. Additional episodes are coming. So subscribe and there's more to come. So I'll see you later.
Yes.